Did Fox approve that Disney acquisition? Do we have a new Iron Fist trailer? And are we Venom? Yes, this is Marvel Movie News.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Marvel Movie News.
Excelsior to you, not turning off your speakers on a laptop. That is the 1 second Janet Jackson delay. My apologies. Welcome to Marvel Movie News. This is episode 190. We are 10 episodes away from the big 200 anniversary issue where Harry Osborn dies.
No, really? 190?
Yeah, we're in 190. Spectacular Spider-Man 200 was that reference. We're at 190. It's crazy.
That is nuts.
That's such a number. Every week we say how nuts it is, but every week it's always exciting for us.
Oh, it's more nuts.
Because it's one more number closer to 200. So, we are the Marvel Movie News. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us at marvel.com. Not marvel.com. You can't find us there.
Marvel.com.
I'm very tired today, guys.
Eventually.
You can get us news from marvel.com. You
Hey,
can
it's
find
only
us.
a matter of time.
It's only a matter of time, honestly.
I'll put it out there.
You're putting it out there.
I claim it.
Eventually, you can also, in real life now, find us at youtube.com/Popcorn Talk Network. You can find us through Popcorn Talks Network. I cannot speak today. I am so underslept. You can find us at Popcorn Talks website, popcorntalknetwork.com. You can follow us on Twitter at Marvel News PTN or at the Popcorn Talk Network. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Marvel News Show. Follow us, like us, and if you retweet a link to the show whilst we are live, Aunt Anthony in the booth will retweet you.
What's up, everybody? It's Aunt Anthony here, and my God, that Venom trailer is looking so juicy.
I knew that would be like the thing. That would be the thing for you. I knew
It's
as soon as
that
I saw
horror
that trailer.
crossover for Aunt Anthony.
Yeah, then you're gonna love the Midsummer Scream stuff that we have later, Aunt Anthony.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to check that out.
It is that perfect blend of horror and Marvel for Aunt Anthony. He will be very excited in October when we're talking about his world, and it's coming. But first, before we dive into the news, I am joined, as always, by the ever-lovely Maria Menounos.
Hello! You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at MarkeiaMCCARTY.
And joining us this week is Sabina. There's no R in there.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Sabina has no R and on Superhero News.
It's one of my favorite Twitters. Because it's
you.
just so on point. And I struggle
you.
with the same fake R in my name. People add R's to me as well, and it drives me nuts. I'm not Corey, and I never have been.
People add like L's in mine, like Markella or Michaela, and I'm like, no.
They see the I, and they're like, make it longer. Let's confuse this. And associate producer Amy. Where can they find you on the internet?
On all social media at Amy Cassandra MTZ, and I am in the chat right now, so let's get talking.
All right, and Ken from Chicago says Venom looks moist, and I just wanted to give that some love.
Hours like, let's get moist.
So, speaking of Venom looking moist, let's kick it off with the Venom trailer, shall we? We dive right into Aunt Anthony's most hyped trailer of the game. I've been hyped about this movie for a very long time.
Yes, you've been extremely
I've been
excited
the
about
cheerleader
this movie.
for this movie.
Extremely. It's good. It's good to have the enthusiasm.
It's good to have hope.
It definitely is, and Riz Ahmed is an amazing actor. Of course, Tom Hardy, amazing actor. Who I really enjoyed him as Bane. Just going ahead, Amalgam Universe. Just going ahead and bringing that in right now. Yeah, really enjoyed him as that. And then for him, I'm basically talking until there's
a trailer?
There's a trailer! Magic.
I like the honesty there. You're like, this is just for the moment.
Yeah.
We like to build suspense here in Marvel Movie News.
I like that this trailer opens with a skyline because that's really Nolan-y to me, and it gives scope to a comic thing. It makes me think of those comic frames, and then it dives into the lab lair.
Yes, and a reminder that we will be talking over the trailer because we have to.
Yes, legally, because we're not on Marvel.com.
But Aunt Anthony, can we turn up the trailer a little bit?
And then it goes full horror right before the Sony and Columbia logos, which I really dig. Also, the first trailer I've seen say in association with such strong type.
Association.
I think Marvel was pretty. They're
We're
like,
not-
hey.
You can say you're with us, but you're not
Hey,
one
I
of
can
us.
see
Yeah,
why.
hey, Spider-Verse.
Yeah, by the way. And then the actual symbiote itself, I think looks great.
It looks terrifying.
Yes. It looks terrifying when it's being crawled.
Yeah,
crawling
and then
on
plus
him.
people don't want things on their soft parts, and like that symbiote went straight for
All
soft
within the
parts.
strap. I mean, it's got to get in. It's got Orify.
Yeah.
So then, the action is what I think is going to separate this from a lot of other superhero movies, because Venom kills, so you're going to have a different type of violence in the action. You're going to have a different kind of veracity.
I really wish I could understand what he said a little clearer, though.
See, the voice in this trailer I like better than the last trailer.
Yeah.
I just like maybe I just want him to clear his
little
throat,
less gravel.
kind of like a Family Guy, clear your throat, or is that Rick and Morty?
But like this feels Venom-y to me, like the
it definitely
going,
feels Venom-y.
like the biting of heads and like the jokes and the weird humor of the whole trailer.
You have no idea how much you're scaring me right now.
And as theorized, the moment of him fully becoming Venom looks like it does happen in the MRI machine, because that looks like a transformation, which I'm excited about.
Yeah.
And whether you like the movie or not, at the end of the day, I'm really excited to see them do Venom with technology of 2018, and that looks like we're getting that. Like, Venom looks incredible. And this money shot right here, this like Matrix freaking...
I don't like that they give away.
Yeah.
They give away who's the other person that has a symbiote.
Yeah.
Right there. Like they totally
But
give it
Woody
away.
Harrelson's in it. We don't know who he's playing still, Carnage.
Yeah,
And
but
we...
This is a really weird line.
Face right up your head. You will be this honest, legless, faceless thing, won't you? Rolling down the street like a turd in the wind.
No.
Like the
turd
Like
in the
a
wind.
turd.
Like a turd in the wind.
Yes, like used food.
And the trailer lost me
In the
here.
wind.
And the shot of the face, and his face is straight from separation anxiety. Like, I've seen that.
I have a parasite.
Also, I identify with having a
My name
parasite.
is Jen.
Eddie's symbiote does a lot more than my tapeworm did for me, but I still totally understand having parasite. So I personally, I've been excited for this trailer for a long time. I actually liked it better the second time than in Hall H. When I saw it in Hall H, I wasn't nearly as amped. I think they've worked on it. I think the voice is a little better. I think that the symbiote looks exciting. I don't know why it's called symbiote still, but I think symbiote is how it's pronounced. I don't know.
It's like we're humans and they're robots.
Yeah, like it's
So,
just weird little tomatoes.
symbiotes.
Lots of tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
What do you guys think of the trailer?
You know, honestly, I don't know if I'm with it yet.
All right.
I feel that I actually seen the film Upgrade with Logan Marshall Green, and when both
Oh,
the
I haven't
original,
seen that
It's
yet.
very much
it's
Venom.
very much Venom.
I keep on wanting to see
It's very questionably very much Venom. Makes you wonder what happened in
Kind of like
pre-pro.
Darkest Mind is New Mutants, like kind of like
Yeah.
that.
And I really dug that movie with great performances. I'm still not a big fan of the way that some of the action looks with the symbiote. now it's like tripping me up
Which
in my
one
brain.
is it?
Which one is it?
Symbiote.
Symbiote.
Symbiote?
Symbiote.
For
I
me,
think
the
they say
90s,
symbiote.
they say symbiote in the movie.
Symbiote. Symbiote.
But on the animated show, it was symbiote.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
I think. Like, Hank Azaria's Venom is kind of the bar for me.
But I'm also someone who's like, you know, this is still, the cookies are baking in the oven. We don't know what the final product is going to be, and I'm going to give it a shot when it comes out.
Yeah, I think we'll all be there in October. I think we'll all be lining up.
Yeah, like well, y'all know me. I love villains. I'm a big fan of villains. I kept on saying that I want a villain-driven movie, although I had in mind, you know, like Mr. Sinister, you know, that kind of thing, like Bryan Cranston or whatnot. But along the way to one day having that, probably soon, but we'll be talking about that later. Then with this, I like that it's villain-driven. I'm not so certain where I am on like the CGI element of it. He does look very moist, as someone said in the chat room. Also keeping in mind that this is an alien, and you know, keeping that in mind with things. I just wish that the voice was a little bit clearer and maybe a little less moist. But
Moist.
This
These
is
are
the
small things.
most moist reference show in modern movie news history. Let the record
that
show.
works.
Moist like a turd in the wind.
For that particular, I know Amy was just like, "What?"
Could not hang with that line.
For thinking like that. Also, keeping in mind, this is an alien. They're not gonna get human humor. It's trying. You know,
True.
kind of a thing.
If they lean into that, and it's just like really badly put together human related jokes.
I mean, imagine
okay.
trying to interact with another being that you had no idea of its history, and you are, you know, dead set on taking out anybody that even looks at you weird, kind of a thing. And then, you know, also you have that just homicidal drive, and you know, hey, that's probably what they're going for with this. And then taking in mind how I'm gonna say it. How it is brought into our world. It's basically looks like it's been captured and probably studied and prodded and probably angry as heck. And then, hey, here's some food. Latch on.
Right.
Kind of a thing. And then Eddie Brock gets on the scene to like bust down these doors. I'm an intrepid reporter. And then ends up getting contaminated with like this parasite and then trying to, you know, exist in this world now that has that we're no longer at the top of the food chain. So I will definitely see it in October. Love horror stuff, love Marvel in general. So,
In association with
with Marvel. I'm not gonna pass it up.
Riot is an interesting choice for the villain. Riot isn't a character that is very prevalent in the mythology. Riot is also that a lot of people think anti-Venom is at the end, but they said at the panel that was Riot. So I'm really curious what the 5 symbiotes coming together means. I'm curious when we get Carnage, if it's like a button at the end. I'm curious. I don't still know the shape of this movie, so I'm very curious. A lot of people think this trailer gave a lot away, but we still don't know what the story really is. So I'm excited for October, but once again, I'm so deep in the cheerleader mode of this movie that I feel like a trailer could just come out and be like, "Bye, guy, I gotta love it. I've been saying I love it." So I'm hoping it's as good as I brainwashed myself into thinking it looks.
Amy, how do you feel about this trailer?
I mean, yeah, I'm not like super hardcore pumped for it. It's kind of weird, but because it's a little weird, I'm like, I'm curious. So it's not bad. A lot of people in the chat, though, are having a lot of fun with the word moist. That's great.
Moist.
I'm glad we could do that for him.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ken from Chicago.
Yeah, so I might not be first weekend. I might be second or third weekend, but I'm seeing it.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll be there Thursday at 9 or whatever.
It looks great.
Oh yeah, and Anthony! Where's your 10 cents, 2 cents, 5
He was
cents?
waiting.
I love how just original this is. I know there's like not really too much out there. I mean, I love anti-heroes. I love heroes that are superbly flawed and have to like deal with their own, I don't know, emotional baggage and whatnot. I don't know. I'm all here for it. At first, it was a little sketchy when you saw a lot of Tom Hardy in like the first trailer, but I knew there was, you had to wait. You had to give them their time to fully unleash Venom. And also, I feel like Markeia, you're not the only one with the whole voice thing. I feel like if people will voice their own opinion about his voice,
Did you just pun us?
They'll probably change it before it comes out to make it more clear as to what he's saying.
Yeah, it did evolve from trailer 1 to trailer 2, so I feel like it's gonna keep evolving with the commentary. And they also changed like symbiote is said in the trailer and symbiote. Like they're evolving. Even
Everyone says it differently, probably.
Yeah. So like they're evolving that with like complaints from the fans. And in the live chat, half people are saying rentals, half are saying they'll see it in theaters. So we will see. And Sony's got a lot riding on it because they've held every other one of their movies, basically seeing how this one does. So no pressure. Speaking of movies without any pressure, X-Force has so much pressure because it is effectively Deadpool 3, because we don't know if we're getting a Deadpool 3. Ryan Reynolds says they don't know if that's going to happen, but X-Force is far enough along, even with the merger we'll be discussing later on in the show. X-Force is happening, short of Marvel just running in and being like, stop the presses, which they won't do. They like money, so this is going to make them money. Drew Goddard was announced back in September as the writer-director. Joe Carnahan's script. I am a big Joe Carnahan fan, so I'm really curious what elements of Joe Carnahan's original script are in there. He did like Smoking Aces and what was that movie at the Wolves and Liam Neeson and Wolves.
Taken. I don't know.
Taken in
Were
the
there wolves in
mountains.
Taken?
They took my cub.
There were wolves in human clothing.
What was that? Anyway, Joe Carnahan's
I know
great.
that one.
Yeah, that one.
The poster with him, and it's like
It's
wintry and cold.
winter
Yes.
Only Liam can stop wolves with his bare hands.
Do you have any favorites
gray?
that you... Was what? The
The
gray?
gray!
Yay!
Because the wolves were gray and so was the snow.
there
and
we
it's
go.
cold.
Yeah, Aunt Matthew, once you said that, then I remember seeing
Visuals.
the front of it, the
Yeah,
cover.
the
I know
cover.
That's all I've seen
It's
of
like,
it.
it's like
The
Liam
front of
Neeson's
it.
face,
Yeah,
basically.
always.
Yeah.
Middle
Always.
distance staring.
Do any of y'all have any like favorites that you want like showing in X-Force, or like storylines?
I almost guarantee Archangel's in there because they mentioned him
I
twice.
think because they mention him so much, they
Yeah.
have to. I'm thinking, okay, since and we'll be talking about it later with stuff, obviously. I mean, they could probably slip some Psylocke in there. I mean,
yeah.
that's a possibility. I'd like for Hope to be more of a prevalent thing, but maybe it's too close in the beginning of the timeline for it. But I definitely want Strife.
Yeah.
I want him.
Okay.
He has to happen. And if they want to throw some externals in there, I'm okay.
Yeah, they can do anything.
You know,
like
maybe Celine, psychic vampire. Maybe she sucks some of the life rejuvenating energy out of Deadpool. I don't know. There's a lot you can do.
Either the first or the last of the X universe, if you look at it, because basically this movie is either the first movie that's going to be tied to Marvel continuity, or it's the last movie featuring these characters that isn't going to be rebooted. So they either have all of the freedom or no freedom whatsoever. So I'm really curious what the X-Force team is going to look like, because if Marvel wants to keep Deadpool, which would make sense because it's such a financial boost, then they could be like, well, our soft reboot involves these characters, or they might want to just completely separate, because they're not going to move on with the McAvoys and the Fassbenders, and there's rumors that those movies won't even be a thing, which those are just rumors, by the way. We're not even going to report on that.
It's just speculation.
It's literally like one guy going, maybe, and then everybody being like, what, that's news! So we're not even
that guy.
That guy. He's a real loud guy. So I think X-Force is a really interesting opportunity for the Marvel-Fox blend, and I think it's a great chance because Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool is so iconic, removed from the X-Men. So who would you like to see on the team?
You know, actually, I'm not as familiar with the X-Force. But I'm more familiar with the director, Drew Goddard.
I love,
yes.
Excellent.
So, I mean, like, his work that I've seen on Cabin in the Woods and how he's able to, like, just mash up a bunch of genre together, I think would gel definitely with Deadpool, you know? Like, I think it would even just elevate it as well. But I'm excited for everyone that y'all have been mentioning, you know? Yes, and, I mean, he did, I think, a few episodes, or the first episode of The Good Place as well. So, I mean, I come into it more from a, like, filmmaker nerd standpoint, where I'm like, I know this guy. This is my dude. I like him. And
he did Daredevil season 1. He's also like Cabin in the Woods, like you said, but also like Back to Cloverfield. Like he's very
Buffy.
smart and comic-y. Yeah, Buffy. Like he's in this world deep. And I also would love to see like some of the X-Force new members, like Phantom X or like these. Like that'd be a really cool visual character. Cool. So I'm excited.
And then that would like get their CGI, you know,
like a living spaceship, and like there's so much they can do.
Man, like I wouldn't mind for it to, well, obviously this would be like not the first X-Force movie, but you know, if it, you know, went, they could go into like X-Force 2, they could do like Vendetta, and then we could have like Bishop and Forge in there, and then like get Storm in there, like real Storm, like Storm.
Real
Storm.
Marvel's gonna give us a real Storm finally. I think.
Yeah. I'm not saying anything against the casting or actress or anything like that, but I mean like Storm has been depicted in a way that she isn't like she is in the comics. It's just it's a different rendition of her. So I'd like Comic Storm to be in like an X-Force movie.
And Marvel's so good at we'll get to that, actually.
Yes, we'll get to that.
But X-Force, very exciting moving forward. We're not sure, no major updates, but a lot of articles are being run around X-Force. So I'm saying now that it's either the last or the first, and that's very interesting. And that puts even more pressure on a little old Deadpool 3. So Guardians of the Galaxy members. The Guardians themselves came out defending James Gunn. We spoke briefly about this last week. We were in a fairly negative headspace. So it was, I think, the first time I've been snarky on camera on this show.
We got spicy.
Yeah, we got a little extra.
So
But the actual Guardians themselves have started a open letter, so to speak, and all of them signed it. Dave Bautista has been very outspoken on Twitter even before the whole Guardians team jumped on it. Change.org petition has racked up 300,000 plus signatures. There is a lot of movement on this entire situation. What do you guys think about it?
It actually kind of ties into what I was talking about earlier about Drew Goddard, where like the James Gunn is someone that I've known because my background is like more horror and filmmakers, and I grew up with comic book movies, you know, and while I do read comic books, I'm not going to go out and be like, I'm a comic book expert, because I am not. But yeah, no, I've been a fan of James Gunn since his Trauma days and movies like Slither, and a lot of things that people, you know, have to remember is that like the early days of like Twitter and branding, you always had to like see about maybe leaning into some of like the more controversial things, you know. And James Gunn has always been a filmmaker who has on record through his art and through everything he's said since those days been like, I am accountable for my actions in the past. I messed up, you know, like, and I said things that no longer apply to my morals or like how I think about the world. So I'm sorry, I don't want to get spicy too. I'm like but yeah, no, I mean, like, that's basically where I stand with this whole situation. You know, I didn't know about the Guardians until this film, because like I said, like, he's someone that I came on board with because like, oh, James Gunn's doing a Marvel movie, like, sign me up. and there are some of the characters that are just so endearing because of their flaws and because of, you know, how everyone is sort of become so attached to these characters. And,
What do you think about the cast signing? What do you think about them?
I'm not surprised.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, the letters. Well, it's always difficult to do, like, I don't know, what's the term for it? Letter by committee. That's always going to be, you know,
a lot of cooks.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of cooks in the kitchen with that. I mean, but I thought the letter did put forward their point that they are standing behind James Gunn. They're not doing, hey, we're not going to do the movie. They're not doing that, which I don't think that would be a good play for them to do.
No.
Right.
Even though they're the Guardians of the Galaxy, it's just
It's an empire. You don't fight like.
I mean that, and I don't think James would want them to do that.
Right.
But I think for what it is in this context, I think the letter does come across very clearly. I understand exactly where they're coming from with it, and I understand why they did it, and I kind of respect why they did it also. Because it's saying, you know, hey, he's not a man standing alone. And the thing of it is that this entire thing is like he already apologized for all of this, you know, and he was already vetted by Disney, and then this came up, and now
they pulled the trigger too fast.
I think I said this last show. I feel like it was a bit reactionary. I take I believe it's oh God, which Chris? It's Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt. I always mix up. I know who they are, but I always mix up those last names. With what he was saying, is like, hey, I don't stand by those tweets, but I do stand by the man that he is and what he has become over the years that we've worked with him. Yeah, kind of a thing. And I respect that. I understand that. This was just so reactionary. I feel maybe there's something else that we don't know about, and maybe this is the reason why. Or then maybe I'm just giving too much. It was so much speculation.
Amy, thoughts?
It's hold on. I'm having to remove something. Here we go. It's a dangerous situation, but I'm very glad that the Guardians got together and voiced their opinions, and hopefully that will affect him somehow. Hopefully positively.
I mean, like, he's not someone who's denying allegations. He's not someone who is not being held to the same moral standard as others should be.
And it doesn't sound like a false apology at all.
Exactly.
I like how honest
it sounds sincere. There's too many false apologies where people will, like, knee-jerk kind of a thing. But this feels sincere, and he's done it before.
No matter what happens, I respect the way Sean and James Gunn have handled the situation currently. Not the situation 10 years ago, not anything else, but like this moment, I think they both handled it very maturely, and I think that it will be interesting going forward, because I think that, I said it last show, that the arc of the Guardians is very much the arc of James Gunn. So like being less of an asshole and realizing humanity is important. So it's a really interesting time to react to things from a decade ago, because I can't imagine what that guy's dealing with.
This might be a little early, but do we see another director going ahead and moving forward, perhaps even with James Gunn's blessing?
I can't imagine right now. And it's funny, there was people teasing that it was Kevin Smith, because Kevin Smith was saying, like, he is working on the biggest IP he's ever worked on and all this. Like, his tweet was super cryptic, but I can't imagine.
Right.
I love Kevin Smith, and I can't imagine it. So that means, like, I'm really tied to James Gunn, because if my brain doesn't go, yeah, Kevin Smith, that means I really like someone's vision. And I just don't see that vision. But, I mean, I love Kevin Smith's, maybe.
Oh, I think... you know, if like cast and director were like, hey, so this is going to be happening this way, and this director, whoever she or he may be, is going to be stepping into the shoes of helming this. I mean, I'm what am I going to say no to a Guardians of the Galaxy 3? Right. Kind of a thing.
And that's out soon. That's like 2 movies from now.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 movies after Avengers. Sorry, not from now.
So I mean, I guess we'll just have to see how this ends up shaking out.
Yeah, we'll see. And according to the live chat, there's apparently a sit-down meeting this week. I haven't heard that myself, so I'm curious what that turns into. But in other confusingly large news, Disney is looking like they're gonna merge with Fox. It looks like it's happening. Fox has approved the Disney acquisition, $71.3 billion. I have been talking about this very deal since I did this show with Matt Key and Matt Cook. This deal has been going on since hosting. So this is obviously the farthest along we've ever been. It has evolved into shareholders and votes and all of these things. As a comic fan, elated. As a film fan and a creative, a little scared.
Yeah.
So I want to know, we'll start with Amy this time, what you think of the acquisition as a whole.
Yay? Yeah, because I think that having some stories maybe told in a different way, like X-Men, would be nice. So if that means more movies, then I'm here for it. And, I mean, with everything going on with Disney, I think it's a little bit confusing right now, but maybe this will just go in a positive direction. So, yay.
Markeia?
Well, monopolies aren't good. Monopolies aren't they're not our friend. They really aren't. Diversity in business helps us as consumers, as small time consumers, and so on and so forth. And I have said this before. I'm very happy as a comic nerd to be able to have everything under one umbrella. But then also, and I've said this before too, I wonder if we would have gotten Black Panther, Deadpool, and such, if they had the entire toy chest to play with. Would we have gotten Guardians of the Galaxy? This
I mean, like, worst case
book
scenario, they're like, well, if the Guardians don't want to do Guardians, let's just do Fantastic Four. You know, like, that's like the scary part of the corporateness of this, where they can just be like, we can do anything now. But it's so, monopolies are bad.
But we do have the first family back. I mean, we already know, what is it, August 3rd, I believe, or August 8th, I think, that they're coming out with Fantastic Four.
Yeah, Dan Slott's writing it.
There we go. Yeah, Dan Slott's writing that.
And Sarah Pichelli on art, I believe, and I love both of those creators.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
You know.
You did.
So, yeah. I'll go out on that one.
I think that... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, yeah, no, I'm basically going to agree with Markeia here. Like, monopolies are bad, but there are also so many other companies outside of, like, movies that are big, giant monopolies that we don't know, and all these umbrellas that don't do things for good. And I'm just hoping that Disney will continue to do things for positive
I think we're going to get the best cast X-Men we've had yet. I think we're going to get a true Fantastic Four. I think that Marvel has done an amazing job consistently listening to fans, and I think that with this deal going through, we were going to get a very good Fantastic Four soon. Because I think a big part of this deal is everyone clamoring for a very certain thing, and now that it's an option, I feel like we're going to get it. So I think we're within 5 years of a brilliant new X-Men, a brilliant new Fantastic Four. So as this seems real, I'm going to look at the positive and say I can't imagine a world where we have all of our cake eating it too, and X-Men and Fantastic Four. So I'm going to be very optimistic going forward, and I look forward to Phase Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I hope that we still have a lot of associations with Marvel. You know, like with Netflix having Marvel, Netflix. I still want that to go on.
Yeah.
I feel like that wouldn't necessarily translate as well over to the Disney streaming service, since Disney has a certain image that they want to do, and it's the whole thing with the Deadpool animated series and everything like that. It's like, I think okay, own everything, but go ahead and put them in different places.
Yeah, I mean, like back in the 90s, they had Miramax, I believe, and then the Buena Vista Pictures. And so they had other offshoot arms that they could do more adult things with.
I'd love a Marvel Knights line that handles the R-rated stuff. Call it Marvel Knights and make it R-rated. Like, give me my Moon Knight and my Deadpool under that
Marvel
banner.
After Dark.
Bring it Marvel After Dark. Any of those things. But you're right. Like Tarantino worked with them.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith. Speaking of Kevin Smith, like the Jay and Silent Bob movies are not Disney films, but they were under Disney money.
Exactly.
Some of them. It's hard to find them on Blu-ray because like 8 people own those movies. Anyway, I'm curious what happens going forward. I'm also curious what this will look like even by next Comic-Con, because by next Comic-Con everything is going to be very different.
Very different.
And I think
what a year will bring.
Yeah, like even looking at the last Comic-Con to this Comic-Con.
And everything's moving fast,
Yeah.
honestly, because that deal is closing sooner than expected. It's, I think, at the end of this year at this point.
Yeah, they said 6 to 12 months from when we heard. So
Comic-Con wasn't last week, was it?
It was.
It was last week.
Was it last week? No, it wasn't.
We did a show last week, which was our Comic-Con show.
Oh, okay.
So a week and a half.
A week and a half. Okay.
Like it's Monday, so a week and 3 days was the Friday of Comic-Con. Yeah, no, time is It's confusing.
Yeah.
Kang,
Okay.
save us. So the DC Universe has a glorious app. Marvel will soon have a glorious app, and that segues us into our next news story. Stan Lee gets a cameo in a DC movie.
Yes.
And
I
that
thoroughly
is
enjoyed this.
amazing. Stan Lee is in Teen Titans Go to the Movies, and it is a Stan Lee cameo. I am dying to see this movie, but I've been in the throes of movie pass hell like the rest of
So
America.
sorry.
So
So sorry for your
yeah.
loss.
Markeia.
I saw Teen Titans Go to the Movies and got to interview Kari Payton. He's the voice of Cyborg. I did that for Geeks of Color. Check my Twitter. I have the review up there, or check Geeks of Color. And yes, this movie. Okay, it is a kid movie.
It is a kid movie.
It is a kid movie. But it does a lot of different themes. It goes into different animation styles.
Cool.
It has a lot of references, popular references, like Disney references, like Lion King comes
80s
up.
movies
80s
references.
movies.
But going back to what you were saying about the different animation styles,
The different animation styles.
that's just going to make you lose your mind, honestly.
It really is. It's like they had the time and they took the time.
Hell yeah.
And it was worth it. It really,
It's like Deadpool for kids.
Yeah, it is.
That's great. I want that.
They don't pull any shots with their DC. Like they bust on Superman like big time with him having all of the. They have an Aqua Manatee movie poster because they're like, oh hey, you're a superhero. You have an
I
arch
feel like
nemesis, you get a movie.
they totally ripped on that year that DC at Comic-Con just did like an ongoing montage of all these titles that you're getting.
Great.
and basically that's like in the first act where they're just like all of these heroes are getting these movies.
Yeah, but the Stan Lee cameo, let's say it was very small. You barely noticed. I'm lying. It was so huge.
It's so good.
It was huge. It was huge and like kept on.
It keeps
on
going.
So don't say what it is because we're not
Yeah.
spoilers.
Not gonna say
No
what it is,
spoilers.
but it's yes, that Stan Lee.
That's him.
You
That's
definitely do. And once that happens, you're just like, they just did that. That's the thing. Be like, I'm okay with it.
My second favorite cameo after Stanley, I think, is Michael Bolton. And that's,
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
So
It's
if we
Michael
can sell 5 more tickets by you knowing Stanley is in it, go see Teens That You Go to the Movies. I will be paying for it since Movie Pass barely exists. I haven't seen MI6 or that yet, and I'm very upset about it. So today, I'm paying real money to see one of those and then joining AMC Plus, which can sponsor
AMC
this
A-List
show.
is amazing.
Just saying. So I think that Stanley doing that is a great sign that we really need to just work on getting along. I have used this show many times as like Marvel DC is silly. Let's all be one thing.
Yes.
So Stanley jumping in a DC movie, very exciting and very fitting that they reference all of the things from both houses of ideas. And I can't wait to see it.
And you would like it that the main villain, Slade. They totally go meta with hey, aren't you Deadpool?
Yes.
And people that don't know like the background between like Slade Wilson and Wade Wilson, I recommend.
It's not subtle.
It's not subtle at all. Like that's a real thing.
Is this a
recommend looking that
Deadpool?
up.
Yeah. And in real life, that is...
Is this Deadpool?
Is this
A lot of that went down. A lot of that went down in real life back in the day with Slades and Wades. So we may be getting Avengers 4 sooner than we thought.
Ooh.
Without Downey Jr. even having to ask in that adorable little Coy exchange on Twitter. I use my names and adjectives as much as I can. Now, Avengers 4 might be coming as early as April instead of May, because like last year, it was the last week of April, but the IMAX website reps this movie coming out in April and their big year-long slate, and IMAX, there's only so many of them, so they have to announce their full slate because there's only so much room in the theater for a movie that big, like 2 weeks at a time.
Or like there was LA drama because like the Chinese theater IMAX screen did not have the right information for the last Avengers, and they had like I think a film festival going on at the TCL Chinese, and so when they moved the date, they were like, we can't play this movie until a week later.
Rage.
So I feel like that might be also a little bit as to why we're getting like
An earlier bump.
details.
So what do you guys think about an April release? Do you think it's like just going to run $400 million like the last one did through May? Do you think it's going to trounce the summer? I mean, the
Hey.
summer starts when Avengers comes out.
I'm okay with an August release. Whenever they want.
That means later.
December,
No,
Christmas.
February
I
release.
mean,
Oh,
like
drop
a
it
couple
on
of days from
Christmas.
now.
So ready.
I mean, like the last week of August.
There's no Star
I
Wars
want
this
it.
December.
There
Drop it.
isn't. I know,
No,
drop
there you
it.
go.
No,
There you
exactly.
just-
It's like Merry
it's like
Christmas.
Destroy the model.
I want to wander between Spider-Verse and Avengers 4 this Christmas. That's what I'd like to do. Merry Christmas. Amy, what do you think about an April release for Avengers?
Yes, because I want it now.
Yeah, the sooner the better.
Yeah.
I'll take it in 10 months, please.
I'll take
it in less,
now.
but I also want the CGI to be done, so I'm gonna...
Well, I want it to be good. Yes.
I'm really excited because we are in a position where they're gonna have to start advertising Spider-Man soon, and Spider-Man's dead. So I'm really curious.
Someone's tweet. There have been reports that Tom Holland is on set for Spider-Man. You don't say.
I'm really curious how they're going to go forward. Like with the Guardians talk, that comes out after Spider-Man. Right now, that could not be more up in the air. With the Spider-Man movie coming out right after Avengers 4 and him being dead, like everyone's in a rock and a hard place with ads, and it's almost that time to start those ads up because around November, December is when those ads would normally exist. So it's really interesting how they're going to do this. And I hope, once again, there is no marketing for Avengers 4. It'll never happen. But if you give me a 3-minute montage showing me Avengers 3 and reminding me of the date of Avengers 4, that's all I want. It'll still make $2 billion. I want to know nothing.
I like that.
Yep.
I really enjoy just everybody's creativity coming up with different terms for the snap. Like there's, and I saw like in the chat room, there was the snapture. I know that there's the snapping has been one. The dusting, the dust, and then there was Arma Thanos was one. So I love that everybody. We have Iron Manos.
Our very
right
important
here.
mascot.
Yeah.
So the most recent Marvel movie, Ant-Man, featured some snapping as well.
Yes.
And it was one of the most, spoiler alert, mild spoilers, one of the most bold post-credit scenes I've seen. I won't even go any deeper than that. But the post-credit scene there, incredible and very surprising, tonal shift from the movie, which I liked that there was a couple seconds of trailers to separate, like, blah, 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 blah. Oh, God. So Ant-Man is getting a ride in Hong Kong. That was the tangent I was making. Ant-Man is getting a ride, and not only is that ride happening through Marvel, the cast is reprising their roles. That is not that common. Usually they have voice sound-alikes, there are other things they do, but Ant-Man is actually going to be Paul Rudd. Evangeline Lilly is actually going to be the Wasp. I think this is a really cool start for the positive side of Disney owning everything.
Yes.
Is we can have rides. What do you guys think about Hong Kong Ant-Man?
Actually, for coming soon during the Infinity War junket, I actually got to talk to some of the cast about this because I'm a really big Disneyland nerd.
Yeah.
And I was like, how in are y'all for being a part of the Disney theme parks? And Anthony Mackie was like, I want to be Falcon flying alongside like the ride vehicle.
Yeah.
And then M'Baku was like, I want an M'Bakale corner of like vegetarian and vegan foods. So I think I think everyone who's a part of this universe would be so on board for having voices or their image or likeness on these rides.
I want to go to Wakanda more than I want to go to Avatar Land. So,
no, for sure.
Oh my God,
you know what I mean?
yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Why is that?
Yeah. No, they
Avatar.
need to pass do that. I mean, for them having the Dora Milaje and having T'Challa like walking around and the huge response they got from that, it's just don't leave that money on the table.
It's just time.
It's like,
It's
hey,
coming.
Universal has Harry Potter. Give us Wakanda.
Just
so cool.
leave the
Yeah.
luminescence
Make
of
that-
Pandora.
make that tough
and
choice
just
for-
rip out the Navi.
I just want to walk through a giant panther mouth into Wakanda.
Yeah. Oh,
That's all I ask.
God.
I just want to go to Disney and be like, I know where I'm going, and just saunter through a panther.
Oh man, they could have a VR section where you can be the pilot for one of the ships. Like that's
And the
that's a
characters that
possibility.
navigate the people that are giving the tour are Shuri. You have people dressed as Shuri, and she shows you around the technology. You have a tech tour,
Or like kind of like
encouraging knowledge and smart science.
Tomorrowland.
like in
Tomorrowland
Avengers,
has a
that should be a
Shuri
Shuri
there.
show, like of her being like, like this would be like the best princess meet and greet would be
Yes.
like her just giving like a TED
man.
talk
That'd be amazing.
of technology.
That would be awesome.
Encourage knowledge and science of children.
I would pay for that princess breakfast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like learn STEM and have breakfast with a princess.
So in the meantime, Ant-Man is really getting a ride. As much as Wakanda won't. And Ant-Man is also about science, so I'm hoping they lean into that. I've really enjoyed that the comics are leaning into intelligence being a superpower, that Tom Holland leans into his smarts, that one of my favorite books that got canceled last year was Wasp, and it was about a young wasp gathering female scientists, and the whole book is about science and encouraging intelligence and all those things. So I'm hoping if they make a little Ant-Man corner, they're like Pym particles, science, all of these things, because
Great.
that'd be really cool. So I don't know if that's what's happening, but there is a ride, and it's called Ant-Man and the Wasp Nano Battle, and that sounds exciting. So I wanted to give some love to Hong Kong, and that's set to be complete by 2023. So we'll see what that means.
Yeah, they're going to be retheming Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually don't mind that when they retheme things like back in the day, was it Back to the Future was rethemed into the Simpsons ride for like Universal Studios Orlando, and I forget there's a number of things of an E.T. was rethemed into something.
Disney does a lot
I
of that.
believe.
So like the Finding Nemo
So-
ride was the submarine voyage. I actually kind of hope that they retheme the Honey, I Shrunk the Audience ride into Ant-Man. Like you're on an adventure with Louise, and like he accidentally gets you shrunken down, and they could turn it into like the Pym Industries with the handle. You just walk into that. That'd be amazing.
I love all of this.
I love, was it Mimer Chef? Please put a GoPro on Markeia when she goes to Wakanda for the first time. And it just made me like,
happy weeping for like 20 minutes. Just open happy
it'd be
weeping.
me doing the M'Baku challenge with kids.
That's just Disney now. That's just how you go to Disneyland. Yeah. That's just accurate. So that is all of our news until Marvel TV. Wow, I actually didn't sleep last night. I'm having trouble speaking. Marvel TV time is where we're going. So, Marvel TV there time. It is. We're talking TV time. I like the abridged because it's so like happy and sauntery, and then it's here we are.
Yeah.
So we never got to cover the Luke Cage finale because life got in the way, and then Comic-Con, and then more life. So I want you guys, what are your favorite things about the last 3 episodes of Luke Cage we did not cover?
I did not see it.
Markeia.
I know. I am so behind. Please give me Cliff Notes. What episodes should I watch?
About it.
Yeah. Thank you. I did a couple of podcasts over with I think it was Nerd Appropriate, really got into the thick of it with Ash for the Luke Cage finale. And I guess, but we're going to talk about it, but like not too spoilery, I guess.
No, go for it. I mean, unless the audience also does not want spoilers.
Yeah. You know, we'll just, we'll just see how it goes. We'll see.
Dive in? I want to talk about the ending. It's pretty spoilery.
Okay. Yeah, we're just gonna talk about it.
Just do it. I'm gonna watch it anyways.
Okay.
I'll get there.
Okay. For Luke Cage season 2, gosh, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I love that the character arcs for everyone that they were doing in here, from like Shariah to having Luke Cage, you know, smiling in the sun, people being like, oh, I want to get this man coffee, you know, kind of a thing, to where his transition into what he becomes at the ending, where it's like, hey, I've got your henchman's hand on the desk, and I'm telling you to stay out of Harlem, kind of a deal.
It's kind of cotton-mouthy.
Yeah, with that smile, and I was like, Mike, okay.
It's a different take of Luke Cage than I ever expected them to go.
It is very interesting. And you know what it kind of reminded me of? It kind of reminded me of how Luke Cage, like in the comics, he ends up meeting Iron Fist and Misty Knight, and it's, okay, comic books are a heck of a drug, but there was this whole roundabout thing where he was being blackmailed, and he needed to get like the evidence, and to do that he had to go and go after Misty Knight, who had, you know, embarrassed Bushmaster. There's this whole other stuff. So he like busts into their place, and he's like, I need Misty Knight, and I'm like, dude, who are you? You're Luke Cage. What are you doing? Like Comanche and not Chase, Comanche and another henchman are in the car at this time, and he's like tearing up this house, and ends up Iron Fist like confronts him, and it's like, yeah, to them he's a total bad guy. And then seeing him in season 2 in that final episode,
you can see that perception is,
you can see that perception where it's like, yeah, you're not being very good right now, but I'm totally on board. And like Mariah, oh my God, Alfre Woodard. Wow! When she like finally ends up in jail, okay, finally does, because it just had to happen, and then she goes full Kingpin on you with it, where it's like survives being like slashed up because Sunflower is all like, oh hey, you remember me? You're gonna pay me for protection. And Mariah's all like, yeah, you know, that sounds good. Give me a shiv, because I'm going to take it out on this person that just tried to slice your throat. And it's like, guess who's head mama in the house? It's like, that's Mariah. I absolutely love that. She went from someone who, like, it devastated her life to take out Cottonmouth, and let's kind of be honest, he kind of had it coming with where he was going with things, to go from there to where she is now. I want so much more Mariah, and I want that. I just want so much of that. I enjoyed everything that Luke Cage season 2 is doing.
I really liked season 2 because the first season we've talked ad nauseum about. The first season, first half was so much,
Yeah.
and then the second half, changing shows, was very jarring. This stayed consistent, stayed solid. I loved Shades this season, and the first season Shades I felt was very like at times 2-dimensional. This season he was very nuanced, interesting. His story was as interesting as anybody else's, and then that made you more invested in every other character because if you have a weak link when they're on screen, you're like, but if everyone's strong, it brings the whole show up, and that's what I feel like this season really did well. Was all the supporting characters and all the leads had a lot of strengths. So the whole show stayed up. I loved the ending. I loved Harlem's Paradise staying a character. I really liked that Alfre Woodard had in Shades such an interesting rival and lover that like whenever they were on screen, you actually didn't know what was going to happen. The story kept you going like, what? And Comanche was great. Comanche stole a lot of scenes. It was a really impressive overall season, and it made me want season 3 of Luke Cage a lot more than I had after episode like 9 or so of season 1. Like it fully brought me back into like, give me more Luke Cage.
I think out of all of the season 2s that we've had with Marvel Netflix so far, this is the one that has me most wanting a season 3. You know, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, and such. And I know they're going to do Born Again with Daredevil, but no, still, I need Luke Cage season 3.
I was really impressed. Like the whole season, top to bottom. There was no filler episodes. There was nothing I needed like taken out. No subplots that I was like, eh. So yeah, Luke Cage season 2 was solid. If you guys haven't seen it, you probably weren't listening. So welcome back.
Yes.
And Shades.
Snitches give stitches.
And I love that he had a backstory about where his shades came from, and I love that it involved Top Gun. So
yes, we're back.
End of spoilers. There's also some other TV news in the form of next week is the season finale of Cloak and Dagger. Now, Cloak and Dagger for me is up there with Runaways as amongst the best shows we've had for Marvel. I really love Cloak and Dagger. I think it's very good for kids to learn morality. I think it's very important without being preachy. I think it talks about big subject matter like The Punisher did without feeling like it's hammering it over the head. I really appreciate everything about the show, how super heroic it is but also being a drama, how the effects look amazing, how the acting's great, how they're subverting expectations. It's so good. What do you guys think about the show?
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm very excited. But it looks so good. I love Runaways, and I think that there should there's room, especially now with all these acquisitions. There's room for Marvel for everyone of all ages. And you know, for some people, would be like, no, it's not like the same level that it was in the comics as far as like adult themes and whatnot. Like, no, this is. Adult. It is pretty adult.
I was
is it sexy?
I think it's sexy. I think it's mature. It doesn't treat teenagers like they're kids.
Good.
Yeah.
Like Runaways.
Like Runaways.
Like
Exactly.
Runaways. Yeah. So far, my favorite episode of the season is episode 7, which is the one where it is. Oh, I forget the character's name. Mina. I want to say Mina's dad.
Ivan.
Yeah, Mina's dad, Ivan. Thank you. Where he is catatonic, and then. To this point, Tandy and Tyrone have, grasped their power set enough to where they're like, hey, we could probably, let me find a better term than what I was just about to say. We could probably, as a unit, help this poor, person, and then also find out what was going on behind the scenes of like the big explosion and everything like that. So they use their powers to then go into his catatonic state and proceed to kind of lose themselves in there. Well, not both of them, but Tandy does. I really enjoyed this episode.
The sister show-ness of Runaways can't be described without having seen the show. Like how much these feel like, how the Netflix shows feel like they're in the same universe. This is that for me, and like they don't even have to mention the incident. They just it just feels like these things could be happening. Like New Orleans is here, California is here, and I love that in the comics that Runaways always had that, and I didn't expect that from Cloak and Dagger. And they're on different networks and everything. And they also a character that's mentioned on the Netflix shows is in Cloak and Dagger. The Officer O'Reilly is mentioned on Luke Cage, which I love. That those are even like. The rights issues aren't a big enough problem. It's so welcoming and smart, and it's such a good show, and I'm really glad it exists. Amy.
Yes, well, actually, before we continue talking about Cloak and Dagger, I wanted to say something really quickly. we have a brand new season of the critically acclaimed animated series, The Venture Brothers. And it's almost here, so you can watch Hank, Dean, Brock, Rusty, and the rest of the Team Venture attempt to save their frozen butts from the icy hell of organized villainy. So this premieres just around the corner, Sunday, August 5th at midnight Eastern Time, Pacific Time, on Adult Swim. So on Adult Swim, all in the name of super science. Go Team Venture! Yay!
Super science.
Yeah, so I freaking love Cloak and Dagger. I think they've done really well, and we're coming up on the finale. Too. It's this week.
It's this week. It's Tuesday. Oh, today's Tuesday. It's Wednesday.
Thursday.
What day is that show on? I watched it on Hulu.
Wednesday.
Yeah,
Wednesday.
I watch it when I have
Just
time.
throwing out stuff.
I think it's Wednesday or Thursday that it comes out because I usually watch it over the weekend, like Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
Same.
Markeia has to tell me
Yeah.
what day of the week it is, so otherwise I'm lost. in
Days
general.
of the week.
What are
What are those?
I don't know.
Yeah, I set alarms on my phone when I have calendar stuff like, oh, you have to be somewhere in 2 hours. Great, thanks.
That's smart.
That's
how you have to
basically
do it.
my week.
So we'll watch it
Adulting.
before next week's show, and we'll
Yeah.
dive into Cloak and Dagger finale next week. We'll talk more about the whole show.
and episode 9
and episode
and
9.
8,
Yeah,
9, and so on and so forth. We'll do all of that next week together with the finale.
because Cloak and Dagger's we'll do the last 3 next week.
There we go.
Because I'm admittedly at 8, and I want to see the 7 again, and then dive into the last 4-hour movie because I love watching it as a chunk. So I really like Cloak and Dagger. I've been really impressed consistently. Marvel TV is doing great, and speaking of Marvel TV, we have a potential redemption season for Mr. Finn Jones' Iron Fist. Iron Fist Season 2 has a very particular item of clothing in it that makes me real, real happy. I always want Daughters of the Dragon whenever I see her.
Well, yeah, it was Colleen. Episode 11 of season 1 is excellent with her in it. It's like culmination of her storyline, feels like.
Okay, it's coming. Oh, dramatic pause. There it is! It's so beautiful! Oh, I love Iron Fist
Nailed it.
mask. Yeah, nicely done, by the way, Anthony. That was a hairpin
Yeah.
trigger. Okay, so Iron Fist, to me, is the easiest costume to translate incorrectly because it is the most real life, if that makes sense. Like, it's easier to do something that seems like real life wrong because you're like, why does that seem just off? Like, to me, it's easier to do crazy outlandish costumes because you're like, well, he's wearing a cape. Whereas this, that could be very, very silly. I like this suit. I know a lot of people on the internet don't. I really like the eyes. I like that he's in his mask. I think this gives a lot of potential for stunt guys we were talking
Yes.
about before the show. Like,
Yeah, that's a point that I really want to emphasize. I am A-okay with this mask because it's like, then that lets a stunt actor that would be, have the moves that we expect for Iron Fist to be able to step in so that Finn Jones, the actor, can then concentrate on, acting of being Danny Rand. It's, it might be one of those things with just our
And to
society
be
now.
physically safe.
And to
Yeah.
be physically safe. I mean, there's a reason why. I mean, I past feel like stunt actors should have a category in the Oscars because what they do is extremely important. It brings a huge value of experience to our movie going and our TV, our TV watching experience. So yes, I'm all for the mask.
Yeah.
Not only is it canon, but it works for what we want it to do. So yes, mask all day.
so I love it. I hope we get the full suit. Don't know if we will. We know this is a flashback, which means I hope he fights a dragon. Okay.
Danny, you okay?
It's just a bad memory.
So I am curious what Typhoid Mary comes into play. I'm curious how the structure of the story is with everyone wanting more Colleen Wing. I think she'll get plenty of time because she was in Luke Cage more than I expected. I want more. I'd like it to be a lot of her in the show. I want full Daughters of the Dragon. But like we said last week, I'm much more excited for this take of Finn Jones as Iron Fist than I had been prior. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I kind of like for them to take the note that it feels like Luke Cage season 2 did and had more of the people that aren't super powered, like have it more filtered through their perspective, like how it had a lot of the story driven through Misty Knight and through Mariah. Then I would like more Colleen, and then Misty Knight in there,
Yes.
and then Daughters of the Dragon, yes. But the people that are, and Jerry, I want more of those perspectives. I mean, Iron Fist is cool, but also kind of balance it out more.
So you guys had an adventure.
Yes.
And you wanted to share it with the class.
Yes.
Tell us of your tales.
Yes. So the idea that I had was for Marvel movie news to venture out because there are many Earths. It's not just 616 with our main storyline. For instance, this past weekend, was it this weekend?
Yes, it was this past weekend. And
And
the weekend before that was Comic-Con.
And the weekend before that was Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So this was like on Sunday. So my idea was to go to Earth 2149 because the horror season is ramping up. And I was at a friend's birthday party with Sabina, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to that thing." And I'm like, "Great, help me!" And her
Horror
and Jonathan,
is my jam.
Her and Jonathan Graves helped me find Marvel things, and we went to Earth 2149, also known as Midsummer Scream. This was my first time at Midsummer Scream, and I believe it was Jonathan's also.
Yes, this is their third year. They're an LA convention that does all things Halloween in the summer, which is awesome.
It was at Long Beach Comic-Con. It was Saturday and Sunday. And for basically what he did is, ran out. I got terrified by this, was it? It was a Leprechaun.
Leprechaun,
character. Leprechaun the movie. Swear to God, that person followed me around because
just jumped up.
Yeah, one time I was looking at the map and then they just like, rawr. I was like, come on.
And it's a Halloween convention. They have panels about the different things that theme parks are going to do for the Halloween season, like Halloween Horror Nights, or Warner Brothers, actually, that's doing a DC Arkham thing, which we can get to.
That's cool.
Exactly. But so we have a couple of videos and then local artists. Basically that Marvel has gone into so many different kinds of fandoms. And something that I love about horror is that it really is the genre where all of our nerddoms can just come together and let their hair down and kind of scare each other. So for this first quick video, this is from Eden Rashai. I think he says it in the video. So Aunt Anthony, can you play this, please?
Scream on Earth 2149, and we have found Zombie Cat. Please tell us all about this.
Well, this is Zombie Captain. We noticed that there was a hole in the industry. There was no zombie captains, and we made a really nice mask, a wood tree man. He had the same jawline as Captain America. I wasn't gonna do Captain America. I gotta do Zombie Captain America. I'm Gulio, by the way, at Eden Roche Studios. We make vintage masks, vintage Halloween masks. Take a look at that.
Amazing.
Yes, and this is only the tip of the iceberg. More Midsummer Scream.
Yes.
I think he's coming out with this. Yeah, so you can find them at
Eden Roche.
Eden Roche. So yeah, for that. But go ahead and just show the next one. And this next one is at Blood and Teeth. And
dramatic pause.
no, this next one is at no, not the videos, just in order. So just the next one in order. Yeah. So this is actually at Nick Hernandez art, and he's holding a Venom. And go ahead and go for the next. Anthony, you can see Venom's right here. The sketch of Venom's very at home with all of the other horror elements that you can find there. And go ahead and next one. And oh, okay. So this is not Nick Hernandez. This is a different one. So for I thought I had the next one was supposed to be Hella. Yeah,
but Nick
there we go.
Hernandez did such an amazing work.
Yeah, he does a lot of really good work, and he also has at Frankensons. He has a booth there. But yeah, at Nick Hernandez art, I focused on just the Halloween stuff, but he had Iron Fist, he had Deadpool, had Deathstroke, so on and so forth.
Oh, Metal Batman was my favorite.
Had Metal
from the
Batman.
new Metal series. Oh, so good.
So, but yes, continuing with Earth 2149, this is at Blood and Teeth, and this is a Spider-Man obviously leaping over a very Hulk to help Venom. And then the next one should be, actually there's a video that should be before all of this. This video, it should be, yeah. So here's a...
I really love how these conventions have such a celebration of all of the fandoms.
Yeah, so it's just a series of different things, and like Deadpool being zombified with a katana through his head.
Deadpool.
Zombie Spider-Man, and then Rocket holding a big gulp.
No.
Or it might have been a gun. But yeah, and then also had like a Deadpool section with a Hello Kitty and a Patrick. That's Patrick. That's Patrick.
Oh, that's
and then there's
funny.
My Little Pony Deadpool. You know, there's a grenade Deadpool in the back, and then there's a Sith Deadpool also. So yeah,
I love that he is everything.
Yeah, at Blood and Teeth, Deadpool was very popular.
Oh yeah.
Here, and then and right here, this is Crystalina 17, and this is like a zombie wall of Marvel. And very cutesy zombie though. So it's like you can get your Marvel and your zombie at the same time.
Totally. Like if you want to have like Halloween decorations that still celebrate superheroes, or if you just love both the genres and want to have that on display, like there are so many options from all these passionate artists.
I don't think this video just yet, but go ahead and play it.
Evil Groot was awesome.
That's cool.
Oh, well, this was supposed to start at 28 seconds.
Kristian is the mind behind one of our new products for this year, for this show, Evil Groot. Yeah, the whole, Marvel thing, and actually one of our daughter-in-law is in love with Groot. So we said, you know what, we're going to try to just make this guy fit into our world, so the horror world. So this is what came out of it.
Excellent. So yes, we found Evil Groot.
He's only $30, and I regret not buying him.
Oh, that guy
Only
was so
$30
cool.
for Evil Groot. And here's a close-up picture of Sabina. Was able to get like a really great picture of him. So they are. Monica is the wife, and they were Angel of Death Creations. We bring dead things to life, and you can find them at Angel of Death Creations. So they had a lot of really great stuff, and I really appreciated having time to talk with them, and I love that people are injecting Marvel into the horror world.
Hell yeah.
Speaking of which, I got to talk with Coven FX. They are a group of female makeup artists and sculptors and special effects artists, and they're a very small collective right now. You can find them at Coven FX on Instagram, and they're doing a free makeup demo, and that's coming up on September 8th, and you can check that out on their Instagram. But more importantly, I talked with them, and I was like, they were like, hey, yeah, we're doing all these makeup demos. I'm like, oh, well, I use, the show, Marvel Movie News. They're like, we should make you up as one of the Marvel people, but like in a horror form. And I'm like, yes, let's do that. So basically, if y'all can help me decide on a superhero, they'll make a zombie version of that for me. So, I mean, we can keep it totally canon, and I could be like, Miss Marvel, or I could be Sentry, or like anything like that. So
Mary Marvelites, call to arms. What do you want to see?
So I'll put that up on Twitter, and I'm going to work with Coven FX, and we'll do like a little video and stuff of it, and they will Marvel zombie me. So I'm really looking forward to that. Maybe Captain Marvel, because her, hers right around the corner.
That's the next big live action theatrical.
Yes. So yes, don't be afraid to go to any of your smaller horror conventions near wherever you are, because you will find some Marvel there, and the people are pretty cool, except for the ones that try to scare you while you're walking around.
But the rest are great. So also a buddy of mine, when they brought this up, I thought this was really cool. A friend of mine, he's actually come on the show before, Rob Fee, is doing the Avengers Halloween special this fall. So Avengers Halloween special #1 is written by my boy Rob Fee, and that means you can buy something my friend wrote that's in canon. And I also love that they're doing a horror comic, because I think the Immortal Hulk is killing it, and it's a full-on horror comic. So these worlds are combining like Aunt Anthony dreams. So, do we have any shout-outs to the Mary Marvelites?
Yes, we have Shane Pickett at DadRad4, Mighty Guy 2421 at Mighty Guy 2421, or Might Guy, Emily Walton at MWalton22, Brian Trotter at 40 Some Geek, Brandon P at Brandon Pramg, Media Shock at Media Shock UK, Arkin O'Brien at Arkin Brian. With an IE, Jim Goodwine at Jim Goodwine, Mick C at C_Mick, Jocelyn at Bad Wolf Bay 10. Yeah, and I think there were a few questions, but I think we kind of knocked those out because they were all like the Disney. They were the Disney Fox deal.
And if you have any before next week, or if we missed it next week, let us know, and we'll set it aside. And Cesar Lozano, happy birthday! I saw you in the live chat saying yesterday was your birthday. Welcome back to the live chat, and happy birthday. Where can they find you guys on the internet?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Markeia McCarty, Markeia MCCARTY. Today I'll be doing Asinine Wisdom over at Geek and Sundry, where we'll be debating some very tough topics. You'll want to be there for that intense debate. It's basically like between two ferns with Zach Galifianakis, but with two wrestling nerds also. So that's going to be fun. And I'll be on Natural Selection at Nerdist this Thursday. It's going to be Doctor Who versus Real Doctors.
That's cool.
So that's going to be well worth. I'm going to be a judge on that. So that'll be well worth tuning in. And then anything else, check my Twitter. I keep pretty busy.
The live chat is giving you lots of suggestions, just so you know.
Oh, nice.
Just saying, worked.
I'll start a Twitter thread and a Twitter poll of top suggestions. Keeping in mind, it's open to all superheroes, not just black females. But I do appreciate the suggestions. These are a lot of my favorites.
Awesome. You can find me, Sabina, on Twitter at Sabina has no R. I'm also on Superhero News on YouTube, and you can find my articles and interviews with people like Kevin Feige and the cast of Ant-Man and the Wasp on comingsoon.net.
I love that site. Miss Amy, where can they find you?
On all social media at Amy Cassandra MTZ. That includes Instagram. Yay. Yeah, I do a lot of stuff, so just follow me.
Wonderful. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CoyJandro. And I will still be doing this show for the time being. I know you guys found out I'm taking over with Amy and Collider Heroes for our dear friend John. But I will still be here as much as I can, and I'll be better slept. There'll be a few weeks I missed for going to Ireland in August, but that does not mean I've left you. I'll be here as much as I can. And I thank you guys for all the love and support I've gotten this week. And I will see you all next week.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.